What's up, my man? Here we are, the end of night one. Let's talk updates. So at this point, we have got everything completely deconned, prepped, and ready to start the services. Take a look at what that looked like. Now that the chemical decon process is complete, it's time to do a paint inspection, see if we find any major defects, rock chips, things you may or may not know about, but we need to be aware of. That way, if there are rock chips, we can discuss getting them fixed before we add the PPF or ceramic package. And more importantly, I want to see and make sure that the chemical process removed all of the defects, all of the contamination, so I can see if I need to go further with a clay bar treatment. I don't automatically assume I need to do a clay bar because clay bar by design does add mild damage to the surface of the car, such as micro marring and a haziness, because for it to work properly, it actually exfoliates, so it scratches the surface a little bit to remove the defects. I keep saying defects. Contamination. So I will go around, make sure or see if there are any more heavily contaminated areas versus not. Do I just need to do a spot treatment, or do I just need to go ahead and clay bar the whole thing? So if I do find any defects, you'll be getting a video from me, or you will have already gotten a video from me earlier in the day discussing what those look like and what the path forward is. But aside from that, I'm going to get around, check for defects and contamination, and move on with the process. All right, I've gone around, I've checked everything, and here is a really good example of why we will just do a mild clay bar across the entire car. Now, even though we've done a full alkaline and acid, now don't get nervous when you hear acid. It is an acid specifically designed for this industry. Its more friendly name is industrial fallout and iron DECON, but it is an acidic product. Even though we did that very heavily on the car, there's things that just don't come out. For instance, I found several instances of what's called artillery fungus. That's these little tar-like spores that are all over the vehicle. There's a few more. I found them sort of spattered all over the car, and instead of sitting here and taking 2 hours to try to find each and every single one, we're just gonna go ahead and do a mild clay bar across the whole car. That way we'll hit all of them, plus any other minor embedded things, because if there's artillery fungus, that means there are probably a few more lightly embedded things that the chemicals just aren't gonna get. So I'm gonna get to it. All right, now, so just so you get an idea of what the clay bar treatment does, you can see here is the clay. It's nice and clean. Let me go ahead and do the hood. Well, the hood wasn't horrible. It's a little hard to see on here. Definitely, you can see some dirt here and with the soap on there. It's a little hard to see on this blue. If it was white, we could see it a lot better. There's definitely some contamination on there that the acid and the chemical DECON just can't get off. And if we want longevity out of the PPF and the ceramic, this stuff needs to come off. So I'm gonna go around the whole car, do this treatment so we can get rocking. Now, I do want to show one more time what this is going to look like, because I anticipate this back part is going to have a ton of debris come up on here, just because if you recall in the video how much reaction it had to the industrial fallout, it was all purple back here. So that lets me know there's a lot of gunk coming on back here from all that brake dust wheeling up whenever you're driving. So let's take a closer look at it before. Now it looks nice and clean. I mean, there's some rock chips in there. Actually, you know what? It's not rock chips. This is what I'm talking about. All this stuff. There's even this, these right here are brown. That's actually a reaction of iron and all kinds of nastiness that are in there. Now this has been chemically treated, manually washed, and I scrubbed it whenever I had that wash mitt going on here. So this is a perfect example as to why each step along the way is incredibly important, and none of it can be missed in order to guarantee the longevity of whichever product we're putting on this clear coat. So let's get this thing scrubbed down. Let's see what it looks like after. So just to be thorough, let's get some nice clean surface area here to work with. Fresh clay. Cold clay doesn't like to be molded. It'd be a bit of a pain in the butt. So, nice clean clay bar, yeah? You saw I only did the lip, the top lip. Look at that. Super important. All right, got about half the car left. We'll get it done. Now, after all of that is completed, we've already had the discussion about the defects that we found across the vehicle, and we have proceeded the way that you've asked. Obviously, you can see Carly's up here doing the final touches of the addition of the paint that we're going to be doing today. But let's go take a closer look at the rest of this stuff. You can see all of the little wet sanding marks that we've got here. All of this here was to try to help soften and mitigate all of those little bitty rock chips that we had. All of the little individual ones are where we were able to wet sand it down, get down some of that ridge. And as you can see in here, we're starting to add the paint and get it layered up so that tomorrow, after it cures overnight, we can come in, wet sand it down back to the level of the rest of the car, compound polish it, and see if there's any additional little bit of paint we need to add, because sometimes there's air bubbles, and once you wet sand it, you can see a little divot where you need to put a little more of a dollop, let it cure, then move on with the services as expected. But obviously, because of the rock chip repairs we're doing on the front, the PPF cannot commence until that's completely done and dried and cured. So when Carly comes in after she's worked on that and got that to its next step, she will start the compound and polish phase. It's going to be going on the rest of the vehicle. But everything's going on pretty well, man. Until tomorrow evening, have a good night.
Trendsetter, whoa, league of my own, it don't get better. No, read what I wrote, I'm a bestseller. Yeah, reach for my goals, hit it dead center, hit it dead center.